Good afternoon. I am Tony Dattino, the founder of the USA Memory Championship, and this was my 3 p.m. Live with Tony broadcast that got shifted because I had, driving on the highway, I had a pebble hit my front windshield, and does anyone know what happens to a pebble when it hits your front windshield? And so goes the crack, and so I spent some time at the Safe White Glass place, trying to see if they could patch it, which after a time there, they could not, and now I wait for a new windshield for the front of the car. So much for little pebbles, and little pebbles made me think of little brain cells, and what little pebbles can do to a windshield or a car window versus what little thoughts can do to a brain that can make a world of difference. So on the upside of things, you may think I'm a little bit loony, but as I looked at the spreading of this little pebble that started out as this tiny little thing and starting to grow legs, I thought of a mind map, and I thought of a neuron and the way neurons are capable of expanding and growing. And so I found the upside of looking at it in a more positive light. But as I was waiting for the car window to be fixed, which unfortunately after waiting over an hour for it, they thought they fixed it until we got in the sun, and they didn't fix it. So they have to order a whole new front of the car windshield. But as I was waiting, I'm reading the October issue of AARP magazine. And lo and behold, I find a nugget in here, which is, it's down and up. Down meaning, my goodness, look at what's happening, is a faster decline for boomers, faster brain decline for boomers. They're having more mental health impacts, and they're having them at an earlier age than we thought in the past. So here we are, we're looking at creativity for Halloween, but here in this little corner article is faster, let me get this here, faster mental decline for boomers. And I'm reading this and I'm saying, whoa, what is this all about? So they're tracking in a study that they're doing at the University of Michigan. They're tracking, people are asked to do things to check their mental fitness. So they were asked to do some things that we're seeing are part of the Mocha Test. And this is mental cognitive awareness that the doctors do. Mocha, I may get the title a little bit wrong, but it's the test they give to seniors to see if they've got mild cognitive impairment. And so they're giving this, and they're finding, to surprise, what age group would you think, if you were going to look at this in stages of fives, what age group do you think they're finding has got a significant increase in mental decline? And we put it into the boomer group, so you got a clue, starting in the 40s. But they're finding that people in the ages of 50 to 54 are having some significant mental declines. Those born between, significantly in the boomers, though, we just see those born between into those 1942, 1947, the senior group, I mean, as you can see, I'm a senior, I read AARP magazine. And why is this happening? So this was fascinating. It's almost like somebody I need to cut this out and put it onto our website, because it's, to me, an advertisement for the Maximum Memory Mastery online course. And the good, bad news for it is we should be doing this at any age. We shouldn't be waiting until it's too late or until it's after the fact. We should be doing the things that they're recommending in our Maximum Memory Mastery online course. We have a whole lesson in there, a whole series of modules on the elements of great things to be doing for brain health that now science is confirming over and over and over again. And I've been talking about them in my Live with Tony broadcast. And here was a column that was written, University of Michigan, talking about why are people in their 50 to 54, why are they having such a decline in cognitive functioning? And so if you stop about this and think about, so why are people having this decline? And it's not just COVID-19. That's the good or the bad of it. You can't, they're not attributing this to COVID-19. They're attributing it to lifestyle habits and behaviors of what you do or you don't do that accelerate your cognitive mental decline. And one of them I've talked about over and over again, and it's so critical, especially now during COVID-19, comes out of a study that was done and published in the Mount Sinai Medicine Journal in New York, which talks about what? Online social interactions can help beat loneliness. So one of the things I'm surprised about, we think of boomers as being the social animals of the world and the ones that went out and partied and all had a good time and left it all for the millennial generation. And what we find is they're alone. They have higher levels of loneliness than other age groups. I would never have thought that. It just absolutely blew me away. They have lower household wealth. I mean, this is stuff. This is University of Michigan, so God, I gotta believe this stuff. But my God, it's stuff it's material or data that's just kind of surprising me. They have more levels of depression and more marriage problems. Let's keep going. I mean, this is bad news in terms of what they're doing. They have more physical inactivity, so they have more physical inactivity, so it's things they're not doing. They have more diabetes, and they have more obesity. These are not good things. So this is the thing the boomers aren't doing. So loneliness, they're not socializing in the proper way and keeping themselves active and alive. We've been talking about that, and even in COVID-19 it's become even more important. And I've talked about this over and over again because when you're lonely or you feel alone or you feel in isolation, we're hardwired for social interaction and connection. So what are we doing here? What are they suggesting we do here at Michigan? Mental decline can be reversed. We can do some things that can reverse the trend. And in our Maximum Memory Mastery online course, we talk about the things that ensure brain health. So we start with exercise. It brings us the oxygen we need. Social interactions, and we constantly give tips on what we can do and how we can do it and how you can have fun with that. So social interactions, you become the lead person in terms of interpersonal skills and how you go about doing that in a fun way that's really exciting and not stressing. Stress, so not stressing, stress. Sleep patterns, nutritional habits. So these are the things now that this comes along, okay? Physical inactivity, we talk about it, and being more lonely and having cardiovascular because of food and what we're eating, relationship issues. We can stop and change all of those. That's the good news. But the question becomes, when you look at our diet and our nutritional habits, look at the difference, as I see from Jan coming back to me. Yeah, Jan, you're right on target. How many people stop and think about where do we get the chemistry that goes into our brain? Through what we're breathing and what we are eating, as well as what we are also thinking. So the notion of positive thinking comes into play as well, all creating the synapses in our brain and the firings of our brain cells that create our thinking, feelings, and our actions and behaviors. So these are the things now that come out in an issue of AARP magazine, and it talks about, though, the good news is they're all reversible. So as I say to people, there's hope for all of us. There's hope for us. Do we want to take the time and effort? Is it important to us to be more proactive in this journey called life, or do we want to wait and hope that we find what I call the easy pill? And this is probably more appropriate before COVID, because right now we're trying to find the easy vaccination, and what do we do with the clinical outcomes, and how do we change this? And God, the world of science is just working at it night and day, trying to help figure out for humans what do we do with this COVID. But let's think about what we do for our own self. So I was fascinated to read over Sunday, because this was Sunday, I pick up mail and I do a lot of reading on weekends. Vitamin D levels. Early studies, vitamin D makes a big difference in terms of people that do get COVID and what their recovery period is. So when Jan suggests back to me here, it's our diet and our nutrition, what are we putting into our bodies? What's oxygen doing? What is the breathing, the oxygen levels that we're breathing into our body? And then that brings in the obesity issue in terms of how well are we able to breathe and walk up a flight of stairs or go out and take a short walk or do a little bit of jogging or whatever it is that brings exercise. I've started doing, I've added, believe it or not, to my running and to my weightlifting, I've added swimming to it. And I'm finding it to be more fun than I ever thought it would be and more enjoyable and more, I do backstrokes on my back and I look up at the clouds in the sky. Here I'm in Windermere, Florida, and the clouds are just gorgeous. So I see the blue sky, sometimes the sun, put some sunscreen on, and do a half hour to 45 minutes of swimming in a pool and just love it. And so I stare at the clouds in the sky and the birds that are flying and what's going on up in the skies. And it's just, I can do a lap, and a few times I've hit my head on the other side of the pool. Not good. But in any case, that's, I wanted to get this. I wanted to talk more about this. I'll do this tomorrow. Well, I had two other articles, one about dementia and how we can fight that off. And they're starting to all tie together, and they all fit into what we've been doing for the last year or so on the Maximum Memory Mastery. And we're bringing some updates and changes to that over the next couple of weeks that I think are really fantastic, on the cutting edge of keeping people informed and aware of what are things we can do. As Michigan says, we can reverse our cognitive decline. So let's not wait for the decline. Let's be more proactive, and let's see if we can do some things up in front. And go back into history and look at some of my videos on Live with Tony, and I think you'll pick up 5 or 6 of them that if you just listen to those for 10 or 15 minutes, my goodness, it can make a whole difference in your life, which is why I do Live with Tony broadcast. So until tomorrow, God, I hope things go better for me tomorrow than they did a little bit today. But until tomorrow, you have a good evening. I think there's a football game that's been rescheduled. There's a couple of baseball games, maybe some new TV programs. I haven't checked on the TV section of today's paper. But have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.